All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next author is Shreya Gupta. How are you doing, Shreya? Welcome.
I'm doing great.
All
Thank you
right,
so
so
much,
can
Kim,
you,
for having me.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as an author?
Of course. I'm an AI engineer by trade. I've been working in the industry for almost a decade now. And I did my first startup when I was just 17. And then I have been on my journey ever since and have done a lot of research in artificial intelligence. And I come from a very small town in India. And then most of my adult life has been in Los Angeles. And a lot of my story is based around my experiences during the journey.
All right, so you answered a little bit of this, but I'm going to just ask the two questions. What inspired you to write your story and revitalize for the soul? And was there a defining moment or event that sparked the idea?
Yes, of course. Okay, so the one of the main reasons that I decided to be a part of this collaboration is because Kim, I've seen your work before and have worked with you before, and I know the kind of quality you deliver. So I wanted to be a part of that. That was one of the reasons that I even got interested in hearing the idea to be a part of something that you're creating. Um, and on a more personal level, it's generally we grow up hearing as girls in a lot of different societies to not be loud, to not be very out there, and to keep peace. So there's a lot of resilience that gets hindered throughout our journeys, and that keeps many very bright young women from progressing in their careers because there's just so many different responsibilities that they have to take early on. And so that's why I wanted to share this as a message that you do not have to be bound by those restraints. And one major chunk of what I wrote is not just about your own resilience, but how the support plays a role in your success. And that is something that I really want people to take away from this.
I love that. Yeah, the collaboration itself was kind of something, it was supportive and everyone took pieces and parts of it. And I know you took advantage of as much as you needed to, because I know that you published, you have published a research paper and you're more in the academia side, which I've done as well, but I know that that is your space. That's really where you're trying to build your credibility. How did you develop this storyline, and did any part of this chapter that you wrote surprise you as you wrote it?
Oh my God. I love that question because all of it came as a surprise. When I started writing, I started it as just as a story of resilience, of how you need to be very resilient to survive in the cutthroat tech industry, to go to a whole new country with nothing to your name and build everything from ground zero, especially being a younger kid, younger sibling who was treated as a baby in the family, and how you still build that resilience. But once I started writing, I was like, wait a second, this is not really just my story. It's the story of all the people who have supported me throughout my life. Because when we say that society holds some people back, it's also the same society that uplifts those people or some people. And I was one of the privileged and the fortunate ones to have my family alongside me, who have been my pillars of support, my mother and my brother. So, all of that, how that resilience turned into that quiet strength of support, was a big surprise and took me on a whole journey for the storytelling. And I tried to incorporate a lot of that emotional and factual information and tried to combine it in a way that resonates with people and shows them that they're not alone in their journey. And I want to be something for them that I got throughout my life from other people.
I love that. I love that you were considering the audience, the person that was reading it in mind rather than just telling your story, which is an amazing story, by the way. And is there a particular scene in the story that especially is meaningful to you and why?
Yes. So there is one part of the story where I'm recounting a drive down Sunset Boulevard, Santa Monica Boulevard in Beverly Hills. And that was one place that I only seen in Hollywood movies. And I didn't see a lot of Hollywood movies growing up. So that was something very exclusive, elite, whimsical that you see somewhere far off that you never picture yourself in that moment because it is so far out of your reach that you don't even dare to aim for that. And when I was writing about that, I had tears running down my eyes because I remember that moment so vividly of how I'm just like, I was driving down in this new car that I'd just gotten from my work. So, and I was still so morose, so sad, kind of blase about everything. And then suddenly I saw the sign for Beverly Hills, and it just struck me at once that I have my own car. I'm in this city. I have a job. I'm doing research in artificial intelligence. And all of these things are way more like this was even better than the dream that I had seen for myself. And that was one part where that just struck me when I was in that drive. And it struck me again when I was thinking about it and when I was writing about it. And that was a very emotional, nostalgic moment for me.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's like in life, right? When you all of a sudden are standing in your vision that you had 3 years ago, for instance, or 10 years ago. And it's like, and it's even more, right? More colorful and more, you can sense it more because you're in that space. And especially if you're breathing and you're actually being aware in that right at that moment in that time, you know? So what challenges did you face during the writing process and how did you overcome them?
Um, One of the biggest challenges, as you mentioned, was that I come from an academic writing background. And just before I was working on this book, I was working on a long-standing research on safe AI for healthcare. And developing that methodology, I was completely in that space, in that zone of academic writing. And I remember coming to UKM and being like, oh, but does it go this way? And you're like, no, this is not academic. Like it doesn't have to be that, like be as emotional as you need to be to speak to your audience. And I think that that was like that just having that support system again, it boils down to that support system and having that around really helped me overcome that challenge to get out of one zone. And I think it was a great learning exercise for me as well to, kind of like context switching and code switching at the same time, where you're speaking to two very different audiences. Both are highly intellectual in their own fields. And in one, you're taking that time to share research and teach, and in the other you're working on inspiring. You want to speak to the person, and your only goal is that if this changes one person's life, if this gives one little girl hope that she can do big things in her life, way more than what she ever imagined, and you just want to make change that life of at least one person, that's exciting but also overwhelming to have that. So it was a beautiful journey. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, you said a few things there. I mean, the first part about translating, that you really hit on the head that that's really the learning process because you write a children's book for an 8-year-old and you need to understand and speak to that 8-year-old. You write a memoir to maybe a 50-year-old or someone like that, right? And you need to really understand that 50-year-old. And then for this one, we had specific people that want to read stories to revitalize their lives, right? And so that is very specific. So that's a whole different way of speaking. And then also the story format is different than academia and other things, right? I mean, we could go on and on. And you had mentioned, actually, there are three things. And the second thing that you mentioned around this is a learning process. And as you experienced and you just took whatever was needed because this is a deli approach, right? This is more than a book collaboration. There's a
Yeah.
whole, 6-week training process on how to write and publish, and people could take in all parts of it, and then practicing through the marketing and sales, practicing through the bestseller, practicing through the methods of writing and the way to write, right? And then the coaching that you get. So we're having another book collaboration kicking off right after this summit. And I welcome each of you to consider that, going out to kimgroshek.com and check it out and sign up, because you will, if you want to publish your own book even, you get this start where you can actually publish a chapter, your story in a different way than what you're used to, or if you've done it before, it's even learning. There's a lot of authors that have published many books and they learn so much about, oh, well, I can use my poetry. That's a chapter, right? And so that was really, really key. And the last thing is that you really did get to make a difference through, and you and I are aligned very much because we want to make a difference in people's lives, especially women in STEM, and encourage them because when I was going through it, um, I didn't know I was in it, first of all, and I just fell into it back in the early 90s. And I did everything, but now the whole structure is different, and girls and women are falling off because of the culture, right? Because it's really hard to change a culture in the industry, even though things are shifting. So I love that you're going to make a difference, and I encourage everyone to get the Kindle. It's out there at a reduced price today for 99 cents. Download it, read it, write a review, read Shreya's story. It is amazing. It's going to make a big difference. So, Shreya, coming back to the writing process, how do you approach the creative process? And do you have any routines or rituals that helped you write?
Um, One of the biggest rituals that I do or the process that I follow is I wasn't kind of like floating around it. I wasn't in there for long, but when I would sit down and write, I was 110% in that. I let myself feel everything that was happening, like really relive the moments that I shared in the book, like the part about the car and the drive and how that made me feel. I let myself feel. I let those tears run free. I didn't hold myself back. And I was on a flight when I was doing that. So I got a lot of weird looks. I chuckled, and the person next to me, she thought I was crazy. But I was really in that zone, in that moment. And I think that really helped me throughout that. And that was one ritual that I kept going throughout the writing process to stay in it and not really be thinking about anything else when I'm doing that, but really um, trying to share from a perspective where if I were reading this, what difference would that make to my life? And not just reading somebody's recounting of those anecdotes in their lives. So that was another thing that I was focusing on to make sure that it resonates. And I think that took a lot of that effort to convert those personal anecdotes and memories into something that somebody who hasn't been through the exact same journey can also resonate and kind of go through that process. So that zoning out, just like honing into that one place was really one of the biggest factors and something that helped different parts of the story coming together.
Yeah, I love that. And you are more strategic when you write, and typically there's the creative, which is the loose creative, throwing things at the wall creativity, which is not always easy for a lot of people to be in that space. And then, some people didn't do that. They just went right into, I want to create the story creatively as much as more structured, but I want to think through this and maybe come back to it and structure it and make sure that the audience understands it. How has writing your chapter in Revitalize for the Soul changed or influenced you personally?
It it really taught me to be the person that I needed through my journey because I had those people, but sometimes we are so caught up in the next step, we forget to take a pause and really celebrate what we have done so far and who has made that happen? How did that come about? Who are the people who were standing in the shadows, but really were the ones making everything happen for you? So that just that calmness, that pause that I got through this writing, coming out of that complete technical, because I'm in the middle of setting up a business, doing research, right? And then you come out of all of that, and then you start this creative writing, sharing your story, and you're just taking. So for me, this was less of doing something and more of taking a pause in my professional life to like just celebrate the people in my life, and that was the biggest impact for me personally to just help me understand those sacrifices and going from, oh, resilience is everything to that, you know what? No, support is important. They're both together. There's a dichotomy there, there's a duality there that you need both of those in your life to succeed.
Yeah, I love the celebration. You took some time to celebrate the people in your life and you wrote a story in that celebration. And everyone just pick up the book because it is wonderful to read the celebration of Shreya's story. What advice, Shreya, would you give aspiring authors or authors that would might want to get involved in a collaboration? Maybe those aspiring that want to write their first book or those that want to get involved in a collaboration that never have.
Yes, definitely. So one advice that I would say or give is, if you have ever thought of writing a book, or if you have never thought of writing a book, give the collaboration a try, because having that accountability partnership and having that structure of support, that coaching on your first step, saves you so much money in opportunity cost and saves you so much time that you cut through all that years of trial and error, and you have that structure in place that you can learn through, and you're not just reading about it, you're going through it, you're in the middle of it, you're implementing it, and at the end of it you get something that you're proud of. You can hold it in your hands and be like, oh my god, I created this, right? I was a part of this. And you're not doing it alone. And I would highly recommend anyone, no man is an island, no woman is an island. Take the support, take the guidance wherever you can get in your life, whether that's a book collaboration, whether that's your career, whether that's your personal life. But this book collaboration, if you, and no matter what your career is, having an experience in that creative writing process could be very cathartic for some and very essential to their professional career for some, but it is an experience that I would highly recommend everybody to have. Like it's an experience. It's really an experience and a learning opportunity at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it. So we're having a kickoff of, so where this is be published now, February 24th, and the soft cover is going to be coming out a couple weeks later. And right when we're done with the summit, we're going to kick off the new collaboration. So look for the link here and sign up because it is a very, very valuable process. It's also a great thing to collaborate, and a lot of the authors got several books from it and books that they never even thought that they'd actually be writing and publishing. So, Shreya, is there a final message that you'd like to share with our readers that are going to read Revitalize for the Soul and the audience today?
Just one closing message. Um, don't just pick up the book and read one story, read all of them because each of the authors, and I've been through this process with all of them, and the way they write is so different, yet it's so much in harmony. You will really enjoy the different styles coming into this together when you're reading this. And I'm pretty sure by the end, by the time you're done with the book, you will feel that transformation, that revitalization happening from within. And it will not just motivate you, it will inspire you to take that next step in your life on your personal and professional level. So I would highly recommend picking up the book and reading everybody's story because they're not just their stories, they're their stories for you. And you will find yourself in their stories, which will definitely help you. And you're not alone in the journey. We're all here with you. And I'm excited for everybody's feedback.
Yeah, I love it. So thank you so much, Shreya, for taking a bit of your time and sharing it with the audience and everyone. Go and get the book and read Shreya's story. It's amazing, and everyone else's book, a story in the book. Thank you so much, Shreya.
Thank you so much, Kim, for organizing the collaboration. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. It was an amazing experience.